Well, today I'm starting a new batch of rocks. These are called Picacho agate nodules. They come from Chihuahua, Mexico. But I've never been to Chihuahua, Mexico, so I just ordered them from the J.H. Calmore Company. They're not sponsoring this video, by the way. They don't even know I'm making a video. But anyhow, these are some really bumpy rocks. They don't look like too much right now, but I think they're going to be really cool. I'm very excited about this. So what I'm planning to do is tumble these for a little bit, but I'm not going to try to get every little bump and crack and stuff out of them like I usually do. What I'm really after is what's on the inside. So look at that. Some really colorful, nice banding on the inside. So what I want to do is, like I said, tumble these for a little while and just sort of play it by ear as to when to stop. But then I'm just going to cut them in half. I'm going to cut every rock in half except for probably one. Well, maybe not this one either because it's kind of already cut in half. But this one's really little, so it's probably not going to get cut because there won't be much left of it if I do that. But the rest of these that don't look like much of anything, I'll just tumble for a little while and then just cut them in half and then finish them up after they're cut in half. So I'm planning to put these in a 12-pound barrel because they won't fit in a 6-pound barrel. And they won't quite fill up the 12-pound barrel, so these are some carnelians I got at Kingsley North. Those are going to go in kind of as filler. I bought 25 pounds of these to do some experiments with, some tumbling experiments. So you'll see these in some other videos, but those will be in there as filler. So let's get these in the barrel and get them started. Okay, after a week of tumbling, here's where we are. The husks are wearing off of them. This one's still showing that little bit of color peeking through. I sure hope that color goes all the way through. I have no idea if it does or not. If that's just a little agate nodule right there and the rest of it's a different color. Sure doesn't indicate that there's any color like that inside, but I'm hopeful. This one's pink. I don't remember it looking pink before. It might just be a matter of that husk getting worn off of it. Not looking like much yet, but I'm very excited to cut these open. I'm going to run them for a few more weeks first just to kind of just get a little bit more of that husk off and get that outer part to look as good as I can before I start cutting them up. We'll check back in on these after a few more weeks in the coarse grit. It's been 3 weeks since you've seen these. I've been cleaning out the barrel every week, and it's time to clean it out again. I'm kind of having a hard time deciding when to stop tumbling these and just cut them in half. They look pretty rough still. And you know me, I like to have the outsides perfectly smooth before I move them on to the next stage. But in this case, I'm after the inside of the rocks more so than the outside. Let me show you the one I've been kind of basing this whole thing on. This is a rock that my friend Chuck tumbled and gave me. And you can see he didn't tumble the outside too much. And he's a lot like I am. He likes his perfectly smooth, but nobody really cares about that. What we care about is this part. So, and this isn't the same kind of agate, but I hope it's a similar agate. That's what I'm looking to get out of these things. So, like this one I could probably stop on. This one, I just feel like I should take a little more of that outside off. But I don't know. That one's probably ready to go. This one's a nice pink on the outside here, but then it has these ugly black holes in it. I'm trying to make a decision right here while everybody's watching. It's not going so well. I thought maybe this would put the pressure on me to do something. All right. I'm going to go one more week. I'm going to go one more week and then I'm cutting them all in half. Except for these really little ones. I'm not going to cut those in half after a week because they're too little. There's quite a few small ones. I started out with one I said I wasn't going to cut, but I don't know if these broke off or if they just got that much smaller really quickly. All right, one more week and then I'm cutting them. It's been another week. I think it's been 5 weeks total these been in the tumbler so far. So it's time to start cutting these things. So I'll show you a couple of them, but I think the rest of them are going to go right into the tumbler and you're going to see them after they're tumbled. Oh, I wasn't expecting a geode. Well, that's pretty cool. All right, what do you think? Ooh, that's kind of a dud. A little bit of a geode there, but mostly quartz. A little bit of banding around the very outside edges. All right, I like the first one better. Nothing very obvious on the outside here. I think I'll just cut it right through the middle here. That one seemed pretty hard. Might mean that there's good stuff inside. Ooh, that one's better. Got bands, not colorful, but nice bands. No quartz. These just came out of the last polish stage of the Lotto tumbler, and you probably noticed they're in a tub of water instead of being all dried off and ready for you to look at like you'd expect. And that's because I don't think these are probably very shiny. I haven't dried them off yet because I don't want them to be dry yet. But here's what happened. There's one of two things that cause them not to be shiny. The first is that they have all these holes in them. This one's a geode. You could call that a vug if you wanted to. And that's a place that grit can get trapped in these. Normally when I tumble rocks, I make sure they don't have any holes so there's no place for the grit to get trapped. Well, that wasn't the case here at all. So I may have trapped some grit in there even though I cleaned these out really well. I sprayed them out with like an imitation water pick. I did a tumble stage in between where I threw them back in the Lotto tumbler and ran them for a while with just some borax and soap and water. Hopefully that should have gotten most of the grit out. But the other thing is, instead of running these with ceramic media like I usually do, I used saw scraps, these saw scraps. And the reason was I thought these might be a little bit bigger and not get jammed into all those holes quite as well. They still got jammed in the holes. I still had to pluck them out, but it wasn't probably quite as bad as a bunch of ceramics would have been. But I dried these off before the rocks, and they're just not very shiny. And they're kind of shiny, but let me compare that to what they normally look like. So here's this batch, and here's a normal batch. I think you can probably see the difference. The ones on the right are much shinier. That's what my rocks normally look like. So since these aren't shiny, I know the rest of the rocks aren't going to be shiny. So what I'm going to do is put these back into the polish stage. I think I'm going to split them into two groups because this is also less media than I would normally use. So I'm going to make two batches out of this, put a whole bunch of ceramics in there, hope they don't get jammed in there too bad, and hopefully they get a better shine that way. Well, this is the moment we've been waiting for. They're all polished up. The extra ceramics really did the trick. I'm really happy with the polish now. So let's see what's inside this first one. Pretty good bands. Not amazing or anything, but I'm happy with that one. I debated whether I should even cut this one because it looked pretty cool already. I like the bands around the bottom edge there especially. But I decided to cut a little off the back just to see if I was missing anything there. Little piece broke during tumbling. And there's what we got. Probably should have just left that one alone. So I like the front a lot better. But I didn't hurt that either. I'm just picking these rocks randomly. So you're not going to see all the best ones first, or I'm not saving the best ones to the last. I don't even know what's in all these because I don't have them all memorized. But what do you think? Is this going to be a good one? I would say no. In my opinion, I don't like the quartz. What I like is the agate bands. But I know some of you probably like that little crystal pocket there. By the way, I didn't do anything to protect these, the little holes in them. You know, if they're a geode, I didn't fill it with anything before tumbling. Ceramics get stuck in those, but you just pluck them out, and they don't do any grinding because they can't really press against there very much because they're concave. So nothing special done to save that, in case you're ever tumbling something like this yourself. Alright, this one had some bands before I started. This is another one I debated whether I should cut or just leave it like it is. But I cut it. Here's the other side. And I'm kind of glad I did, because I got a lot more bands now. Got bands on those sides and on those sides. And a nice little crystal pocket. Now see, I like that crystal, because it's not too much. I get to still see the bands. And get a little sparkle in there too. Alright, is this a good one or not? Doesn't look like much on the outside. Well, we've got crystals. Not too much in the way of agate banding. A little bit, but not too much. This one looks a lot like the last one. But better on the inside. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Look at the depth in that. Let's look at one at a time. You can see right in there. That's cool. I like it. One's fairly small. That's what the outside looks like. And not too much on the inside. Kind of neat. I've seen better. And this is the pinkest one of all of them, I think. There's the outside. What do you think? It's going to be good on the inside? You tell me. What do you think? I like this one better than the other one. Had a couple real small ones that didn't look like much on the outside, so I figured that's not going to hurt anything to cut them. So I cut them. And I was rewarded with that. Kind of fractured, but really good bands. This one's kind of purple on the outside, a lot of color. Let's see if we got anything good inside. Yes. Neat quartz pockets. I assume that's quartz. Some sort of crystals. Good bands, good color. That's a winner. Okay, this one we had a sneak peek at because one of these sides already showed some bands. So I was pretty sure it was going to look like that on the inside. And it does, just more of it. Too bad about the big crack across the front there. I'm tempted to just break that rock right along the crack and throw it back in the tumbler. So I'd have 4 rocks without the cracks. That one's awesome. This one's very white. I can line it up. Here we go. So what do you think? Good on the inside or a dud? Not a dud. I like that a lot. Nice little crystals in there. Once again, I like that kind of crystal when it's just a little bit. And really, really good bands. Okay, here's another white one. Let's hope it's like the last one. But it's not. This one was the worst one of the batch in my opinion. It's all quartz, no agate. And the edge is really chipped up. See how bad that is there? To fix this one, I'll probably throw this back in a rotary tumbler. And that'll round off these edges a little bit. And then I'll throw it back in the vibratory tumbler and polish it up again. Because the rounded parts didn't get all messed up like that. Pretty rough on this one. And inside we have some bands. It looks like a butterfly. Just let that fly right away. Pretty sure you've already seen inside this one. This is the geode. Pretty good bands around the outside. Cool crystals on the inside. Here's another little tiny one. Mostly quartz. This one's yellow on the outside and pretty good bands on the inside. Another geode. So we can get the glare off it. Kind of missed the middle of the geode. Kind of hard to tell where it is though. Yeah, it's almost all quartz. Little agate around the edges. Just a couple more. That's not bad. This one I decided not to cut because it was already broken. And it was almost all a big quartz pocket, so there wasn't much place to cut. And there's the rest of them. Not too much there. Just a bunch of broken quartz pieces. Hey, if you like this kind of video where we just look through a bunch of polished rocks, I've got lots of these videos, so I'll link a playlist here, so go check that out, and I'll see you over there.